Following the release of a hotter than expected 4% year-over-year CPI gain, Bank of Japan governor has said that the Bank of Japan stands ready to increase government bond buying if long-term interest rates rise sharply, but creating more inflation to buy bonds will only make the problem worse. On top of that, we are seeing an adjustment in China's M1 money supply, jumping from 67 trillion in December of 2024 to 112 trillion in January of 2025 because they changed how M1 is calculated. Notice a rapid decline in M1 in 2024. The only reason you do this is to mass liquidity injections you're using to fend off a deflationary debt spiral. China is hiding liquidity injections. The M1 in 2024 indicated that the money circulating was slowing down, likely due to economic stress, weak consumer spending, and deflationary pressures. Now, if the Bank of China decided to pump liquidity into the system without adjusting the formula, it would be way too obvious. Therefore, changing the M1 definition. Injecting cash without stating that there is a direct stimulus. Real estate crisis, local government debt crisis, corporate debt rollovers, CPI inflation negative for months, factory output is weak, youth unemployment is sky high. Plenty of reasons why China is pumping liquidity into their economy. Now, this is going to lead to a potential devaluation of their currency as foreign investors might lose confidence in them continuing to dilute their money supply. This could then follow up with increased pressure on US and global markets, sparking a potential currency war alongside the potential trade war that's happening. But what else can it do? It can trigger a potential short-term rally in Chinese stocks. But obviously, long-term, there will be other implications to this. And that's why you're seeing stocks like Alibaba get massive liquidity injections, which is a Chinese company. And we're going to talk about another one a little bit later on in the video, but you can't make this up. Alibaba's up another 5.6%, trading at 143.65. What's another Chinese company? SMCI, China's largest chip maker. We all know what has been happening to SMCI. Long story short, you can't stop what's coming. Before we talk about GameStop and AMC, we're also seeing US Treasury potentially scrambling to put as much gold as possible back into the empty Fort Knox before it gets audited by Doge. You can see Swiss gold exports to USA spiking to all-time highs. Or maybe this is something else, but a really potentially accurate tin. One of 3 remaining Credit Suisse GSD accounts is getting pulled on Monday. And we see data errors on the consolidated audit trail, or trade errors, for January 13th, up to 8 billion, basically 8.5 billion, and then on the 14th 2 billion. Something needs to be done about this ASAP, and hopefully Doge gets to the SEC pretty quickly. Now, you can't make this up. MLGO is up 578% on the day, and this is where it was announced and alerted in the Discord server last night right after market close, and since then it has been up over 500% since the call out. If you're not in the Discord server, get in and talk with the fam. We also called out Alibaba all the way down here, and now it is at 143, leading me to give you the levels. We're above 138.50, which is a crucial level for Alibaba. Next level to watch is 148.50. If we get rejected there, Alibaba is likely to come back down and retest 138.50 or even lower around 128.50. However, as of right now, it looks like you have a potential shot at getting up to 186. Jumping into GameStop's chart, yesterday I talked about what I expect to happen for Monday, and that is doing very well on Twitter. I will hold myself to it. I'm going to retweet that Monday because as of right now, there's one of 2 scenarios that is going to happen for AMC and GameStop. And scenario 1 is we get a move up on Monday. If we don't get that, then we may be waiting a little bit until April. As of right now, if we take a look at starting the week next week, there's a couple things that I want to say. First of all, if you're purchasing options, if you're purchasing calls, it is technically more beneficial for shareholders if you purchase calls that are in the money or very slightly out of the money. And that is because of delta hedging, where market makers will go back into the market and make sure that they buy up some shares in order to hedge their position. Obviously, there are a lot of factors to this, but as GameStop, or as a stock, nears the strike price with high open interest, this is what happens. Market makers go in there, and then you get some action to occur, which starts a potential gamma ramp. If you have all of the open interest on the options at, let's say, $100 strike price, and we're not even near that level, that will likely not happen. Those will likely expire worthless, all that other stuff. So we have to do some sort of slow buildup. Nothing I say is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. I'm just a guy on YouTube. Now, the next thing that I wanted to cover is the Bollinger Bands as well as the RSI. I want to point out that GameStop has gotten actually very, very oversold on this sell-off down here, which we near the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, and we're on the daily time frame. I'm sure it looks a little bit better on the weekly time frame, but RSI is cool. We're still below the 50, and we are coming down to the mid-range of the Bollinger Bands. Basically, this is good. This is a good way to start next week, as GameStop is not overbought or not oversold either. And if you come and you take a look back when we had this massive rally back here, you can see GameStop was actually right above the 50 on the RSI, but it was still trading. It got this bounce off of the mid-range of the Bollinger Bands. So it looks very, very similar, if not better, based off of some indicators indicating if GameStop is overbought or oversold. As far as AMC goes, we can see on the daily that we are right at the 50 as well, alongside GameStop. Now, given previously during the other squeeze back in January of 2021, you saw we were significantly lower, sitting around the 40. Now we're around the 50. But we saw right here after this sell-off that you started to get this curl higher on the RSI, which is something that I think is potentially happening right here, right? You're starting to get this curl higher on the RSI. It's a little bit off. AMC could be a little bit more oversold on some indicators. We also aren't really close to the mid-range of the Bollinger Bands just yet, which makes me think at least maybe end of day today or after hours, we come and retest $3.30, which was ultimately what I'm hoping for. That way we can have a little bit of a breather before huge green moves. So between 333 and 325, I'm hoping for a little bit of a retrace here. That way we can prep for a Monday move on GameStop and AMC. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be. I don't know if we're going to get a catalyst, but what I can assume is that we are going to have a green week coming into next week. Now, the SEC just agreed to drop a lawsuit against Coinbase, which leads me into the Coinbase chart. Coinbase recently got smacked down. Now, you can see we are trading sort of in this wedge. Coinbase just got a lawsuit dropped. We based off of this trend line. We broke out of this trend line. We tested all-time highs, came back down, and are about to retest down here. So between 240 and 232.75, I do think Coinbase is a potential buying opportunity for another leg higher as we get another bounce off of this potential descending support level on Coinbase. Okay, so this is just something to put on your radar, especially if you believe that crypto is going to have another pump. Now, if you don't believe that, then be very, very careful, not only buying into Coinbase, but buying into anything, because I think right now, if the market's crashing and crypto's crashing, they're going to crash together, right? There's low liquidity across the board, so it's very hard to think that if the market's going to sell off, that crypto is going to get liquidity somehow, right? Markets are not looking good. We got some economic data that technically is what's pushing the market down. We're trading at 604.80, down basically a full percent on the day. We called this out. A break under 609 brings you all the way down between 606, 604.50, and potentially even lower. We broke below 606. We're now nearing 604.50, and we are testing the top of this descending parallel channel, which could prep you for another leg up higher to 616. Or if you break structural support, then you break trend and things just get ugly across the board. But you can see volume has just been fading, okay? So once volume picks up, expect a large move one way or the other. And if that move is down, expect the VIX to go up, all this other stuff. So ultimately, that is what we were watching for this buy, and that is what is playing out right now, coming right back to 604.50. Now, Elon Musk said he is considering having Doge audit the Federal Reserve. And then we also saw ticker symbol UNH, which is United Health Group stock, fall about 12% actually on apparently minimal news, but the DOJ announced a civil fraud probe into the company's Medicare billing, putting the stock down 20% since Monday. Now, if you come and take a look at this stock, it's trading at $458.90. And the reason I'm bringing this up, a random stock that I'm putting on your radar that's down about 10%, is because it is at crucial levels. If you zoom out on the weekly chart and we break below this level, this is a bubble that could pop up here, especially with Trump and Elon technically in office at this point, right? This is a bubble that could pop or could just show a heavy retracement. Okay, if you come and you take a look back here, in 08, it played a very, very similar pattern and it dropped 75%. Okay, if you take a look at the same thing and we got the same sort of move, you're looking at a move all the way down to about $160 on this play. Okay, I'm just saying if the bubble pops, it looks like it is very, very overbought. This is something that you could put on your radar here. I want to talk about Tesla, 339.38. We called out puts. It's down 4%. The stock, you can't make it up, guys. It's just as simple as looking at the charts. We broke below key support levels. We're continuing to bleed off. If we don't hold 337, you're looking at 330. If you don't hold 330, you're looking at 316. And ultimately, if volume starts to pick up as we move down, expect newer relative lows down to 303, and potentially, if the market decides to bleed off, you're going to see a gap fill form on Tesla all the way back down to around 270. Okay, so be ready for that. Now, NEO, another Chinese play, up 3.5%, trading at 453. Chart looks okay on the short time frame. Could be potentially getting a breakout soon, especially with some liquidity being injected. We're also seeing earnings on March 11th. I just think it's something to pay attention to over here. Now, the recent earnings weren't that great, but expectations for the next earnings are low, and we could see a potential pop in NEO with everything surrounding the Chinese markets. Just something to keep an eye on, put on your radar, take a little bit of risk on, run a stop loss, all that other stuff. I also want to point out Meta. We called out a breakdown below this level on Meta at 710, called that it would hit 690. We're now below that, 687. What does this mean for Meta? Well, Meta could continue to bleed, or it could pull something like Palantir pulled, where we came back down all the way down here, cracking beneath its recent support here, which spooked people out, probably shook some paper hands out, coming back down to 95.80, and then springing all the way back up and retesting this. What that would look like for Meta is probably holding 686 and then springing back up to 710 before doing whatever Palantir is about to do, selling off, who knows, right? But overall, I do think Meta is very, very overbought, and I do have a price target at 662.50, so we'll be watching this one closely as well. VNet, ticker symbol VNET, I want you to put on your radar. It kind of has been low-key squeezing. It's been getting good news. It's gotten analyst price targets all the way up to around 1620 or so, 1610. I think Credit Suisse maybe gave it a price target of 1610 or something along the lines of that. But we hit basically right there. I do want to note that is major resistance for the stock. This could be over here. It's just something to keep a side eye on. Apple, I alerted Apple calls in Discord when we tested this high right here with a stop loss, and now we are starting to move higher. This is important for Apple. I think it will come up between 249.20 and 250.80, maybe even 253. And next week, maybe even higher than that. I don't want to sit in Apple for medium or long term. I would say this is a short term play. Nvidia does have earnings coming up next week as well, Wednesday, February 26th, as well as AMC has earnings Tuesday, February 25th. So that will be an exciting week, and I do want to talk about another play in a second, but ultimately I'm expecting a gap up on Nvidia. For the members and the Discord members, for the members of the YouTube and the Discord members, they got a video exclusively for them yesterday that talked about a trade that had to do with Nvidia, as well as another stock that I think is a big opportunity. So again, if you want to be a part of that, the link is in the top of the description. Now, Hooters also to prepare for bankruptcy, according to Bloomberg. Bybit crypto exchange just got hacked, $1.4 billion of Ethereum. Finally, Walmart got smacked on earnings, which leads me into another potential play that I'm actually going to give Discord. Costco has earnings upcoming March 6th. Now, if we take a look at this stock on the weekly, this is a bubble if I've ever seen one. And I think Walmart could have given the sector just the first warning signals of what is to come. And I'll leave it at that. Overall, guys, that is what I got for you for today's video. Don't forget to join the Discord server. It's the top link in the description. You get access to one-on-ones with me, seeing my trades as soon as I take them, talking stocks and crypto with the most amazing people. We also just added a short squeeze channel in there, so people will be eyeing those up. We also have option sweep alerts, dark pool trade alerts, insider trade alerts, high success trade flow, and more. So get in the Discord. We also have market news, analyst grades, all that other stuff. A one-stop shop for everything. Now, the second link in the description of the video is for Moomoo, where you can get up to 30 free stocks. Again, all you have to do, if you haven't already, is sign up through my link. And once you make a deposit into your account after they approve you to start trading over there, you will start earning free stocks from them. It'll take a little bit to come into your account, but it's a great platform to trade on. That will also give you 8.1% APY on your uninvested cash. So with these scary markets, whenever you're not in a trade, let's say you take one trade a week, you get a profitable trade, and then for the rest of the year, you're still earning a high percent APY on your cash that is just sitting. You're also getting access to options, shorting, level 2 order book data, customizable earnings calendar, viewing other exchanges, and more. So those are the top two links in the description. And the third link is, of course, very, very important. If you want If you like to do fundamental analysis on any companies, this is a one-stop site for all of that. That is it, guys. I love you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Make sure to have post notifications on. God bless. Lottery Stocks out.